Well, KZN has been hit by many disasters in recent years. They include, of course, the 2021 July unrest. We were talking about that earlier with the attacks on trucks and, of course, the devastating floods in 2022. Well, just recently, a tornado was witnessed in the area as well. Now, it's one of the provinces that is once again seeing trucks being attacked. 6 of them were set alight at Van Riemen's Pass on Sunday. So tonight we're discussing the economic recovery of the province. It feels like KZN never really gets a chance, does it? So have things returned to normal? I would contend not. The economist, Professor Bonke Dumisa, joining us this evening. Professor, good evening to you, and I appreciate your time, Professor Dumisa. It really just feels like KZN has been bashed from all sides. You think the province is recovering, in your opinion?
I am saying the province is definitely recovering, but on a lighter note, when you said everything bad is happening in KwaZulu-Natal, I've heard some people seriously saying it looks like this province needs some real serious cleansing to remove all this bad luck. But I'm not going to get into that. It's not my field. Yes, the province is recovering, and there are some serious tests which show everything in that direction. However, before we go back to 2021 and move to the floods last year and this one-day tornado sometime in the past few weeks, I have to acknowledge that many people were not happy about what happened in 2021, and we are happy that at least we can see that there have been some improvements, because in 2021, as you remember well, we had more than 350 people who lost their lives through that whole process. And we had SASRA last week reporting to Parliament that they've settled claims of about 32 billion rands. And I was looking at some documents from EDGE, which is the working together of one of the economic think tanks with the eThekwini government. And they were saying that the damage in Durban alone was over 70 billion rands. So you've got to compare all these figures. But one thing which is common with them is that we lost a lot of money. But many of those businesses which were closed and vandalized and destroyed in 2021 are back in action now. Unfortunately, and many of the jobs which were lost then have now been, at least there have been some gains, but not everyone has been able to get back their jobs. And some of the people who lost their businesses could no longer reopen them. But substantially, everything is under control as it is now. The only thing which is somehow lacking, it is getting back 100% of the investors' confidence that we can invest in KwaZulu-Natal without any fear that the same thing which happened in July 2021 can
I suppose this is the problem, Prof, but you make a very good point, is that even though the flooding, for example, some would say it's an act of God, it's unplanned, no government, no insurer like Sasria can plan for that. The riots, as from an economic perspective and investor confidence perspective, there was a lot of criticism about how those unrests in July were handled. Some suggesting the government doesn't really have a hold on that at the moment. What does an investor look like from an economic perspective? I'm not asking you to go into politics. What does an economic investor look like at a province like KZN now, and then also look at the geopolitical situation in the province? What are they weighing up, do you think?
You said I must not go to politics. You know that I don't want to talk about politics, but one thing which we must all accept was the statement which was made by President Cyril Ramaphosa thereafter that was a failed insurrection. So that was a straight act of economic sabotage. And the investors are saying, before the ruling party speaks the same language from all angles and not all the different factions, etc., we are not going to be comfortable with investing in KwaZulu-Natal. But that's a minority. Many have accepted that, well, some of these things happen even though they could be avoided. But there is investment back in KwaZulu-Natal. And many, I mean, I was at the Durban July on a work assignment, and it was so full, and there are people from all over, not just KwaZulu, not just from South Africa, but from other neighboring states, etc. And I've attended many other events elsewhere, and they're all full. So there is confidence back in KwaZulu-Natal. We've had some major malls reopening or opening, and they are really full, despite some of the challenges we have with our beaches. So there is confidence back in KwaZulu-Natal.
And I want to ask you this, Prof, because you're making very, very good points. But as you said it, you're talking Durban, July. A lot of that is on the surface of what's happening in KZN. There are very entrenched issues at the moment. So back to what investors would look like. How do you view the attacks on trucks? I know it's around the country, 3 provinces. One of those is KZN. We know that. Many are suggesting this could be another problem for KZN and widespread violence. We couldn't get it right as a government in 2021. Here we are again, more truck violence. As an investor, I would be sitting back and going, well, hang on, we still haven't got this right. You agree or disagree?
I agree with you 100% on that one. And the major problem, I've raised it with you, when I say with you, with eNCA and other platforms before that. Yeah. The issue of lawlessness in South Africa, the government must take it seriously, because it has been raised by different forums to say, if we don't sort out this lawlessness, then investments are going to go down, and this country is going to slide to a failed state. So the issue of the banning of the trucks in KwaZulu-Natal, especially on the N3 at Van Riemen's Pass, it has been raised so many times, not just this year, so many times, that there must be an alternative route as well created. And there are plans which were dealt with by the KwaZulu-Natal Planning Commission and the Presidential Planning, Presidential Advisory Committee on Infrastructure, that there is a new route which has to be created, not as an alternative to Van Riemen's Pass, but in addition to Van Riemen's Pass. We do not know what is holding that thing back, because every time Van Riemen's Pass is closed, even for an hour, we lose millions in France and South Africa. So those are some of the things which can, because this thing of the banning of trucks can easily be attended to. And I was happy to hear that the Minister of Police himself saying that, well, he has a special task force of some sort, which will be looking at this. In fact, they say they've already identified some of the major culprits who were involved on Sunday and yesterday. We don't want to just hear that one. We want to see people being prosecuted in a courtroom and being sentenced to lengthy jail terms for all these things, because it is economic sabotage. And if you don't deal with economic sabotage seriously, then the country is doomed.
Yeah, as we know, when it comes to economics and investments, sentiment is probably outweighing every other type of measurement in our country. It's about what's being said, what's being done, and I suppose one could argue, Prof, what's not being done. Prof Dumisa, thank you very much. I was looking forward to hearing from you. I wanted to get the Prof's thoughts on these truck attacks, especially in KZN. Someone like him can make sense of just how devastating it is in that province, but also for what investors are looking for in the province of KZN and also our country. Economist Professor Bonke Dumisa.